Geopolitics news. Trump's announcement that China could buy both Iranian and US oil was a signal to China that Washington is interested in working together and doesn't want to hurt China's economy. Witkoff. Financial and stock market news. Nvidia's market capitalization has grown to $3.75 trillion, the world's most valuable public company. The Fed is proposing changes designed to mitigate the increased additional leverage ratio for large banks. Now there will be more leverage in the markets, bonds, equities. Micron released a report and gave a strong outlook on strong RE demand. Micron plus 2.5%. Citi raises China's 2025 GDP growth forecast to 5% from 4.7%. Palladium continues to rise, maximum in 8 months. The US recorded a $316 billion budget deficit in May, the third largest in history, and the 12-month budget deficit reached $2 trillion despite record duty revenues. The escalation of conflict in the Middle East, which continued for more than 10 days, pushed up nitrogen fertilizer prices in major markets by 11 to 15%. US dollar weakened amid reports that Trump may replace Powell early. Bloomberg. US dollar has worst first half of the year in 40 years. Dollar index, DXY, has fallen more than 10% since the beginning of the year. The White House said yesterday that the dollar fell due to a confluence of several factors at once. Foreigners are net sellers of Japanese stocks for the first time in 12 weeks, Reuters. By 2026, China will overtake Australia to become the world's largest producer of lithium for batteries. Fast Markets Consulting forecast. Japan's M on a record, $232 billion in 1H 2025. Israeli stocks break records. Concerns about the US debt load and inflation are causing outflows from long-term US bonds, FEET. Japan in talks with us on long-term LNG supplies, Bloomberg. BRICS domestic trade has reached $1 trillion. China's LNG imports fall for 8 months in a row, CLR. Trump said he has begun interviewing candidates to replace Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. Morgan Stanley expects the Fed to implement 7 rate cuts in 2026 starting in March, bringing the final rate down to 2.5% to 2.75%. But it would be nice to start cutting rates as early as the fall of 2025. Spursad forecast oil prices to return to $65. The Times, Britain will put steel into strategic resources for national security. US, GDP, 1Q 2025, minus 0.5% Coke. US durable goods orders, May, plus 16.4% MOM. US initial jobless claims 236K. US trade balance, May, preliminary, minus $96.59 billion. Salesforce CEO, 30% of companies' internal work is done with ARI. Companies after the reports, Acuity Brands plus 10%, Walgreens Boots plus 1%, Hive Blockchain minus 5%. Goolsbee, Fed if inflation stays within 2% and uncertainty is removed, the Fed will be on track to cut rates. Daily, Fed, lower inflation looks promising for a rate cut. I believe rates will have a temporary impact on inflation. Global LNG trade declines in 2024 after a decade of uninterrupted growth, Energy Institute. Xiaomi has unveiled the U7 electric pocket car priced below the Tesla Model Y. Xiaomi, over 200,000 pre-orders in 3 minutes. US gas, EIA requirements plus 96 BCF. Trump has requested $1.01 trillion from the US Congress for the defense budget in FY 2026, a 13% increase over this year, Pentagon. The Trump administration also plans to increase spending on the development of the US Space Force by a third to $40 billion. Crypto World News. US Housing Agency may allow crypto assets in mortgage qualification. It was previously reported that the U.S. Housing Agency may authorize the use of crypto in mortgage loans. BTC continues to follow global M2 liquidity, historically bullish, matrix port. BTC aggregate balance on exchanges continues to fall, CoinGlass data. Crypto exchange Kraken received a European MiCA license. Zach Folkman, co-founder of Trump's DeFi platform World Liberty Financial, said at the permissionless conference in New York that several public companies are interested in buying the Wolfie token on their balance sheets. World Liberty Financial said it will make its Wolfie token available for trading in the near future. Traders are now actively shorting BTC and buying ETH, claims Santiment, citing funding rates in the marketplace. Bit Digital Miner is exiting mining completely and will focus solely on ETH staking strategy. Dropstab, recent funding rounds among new blockchains. US government prepares to buy BTC for reserve. A White House spokesperson said that the US government has a savings plan to buy BTC for a strategic Bitcoin reserve. But knowing the bureaucracy in the US, the first purchases will not be soon. Nevertheless, the news is still good. BlackRock ETF funds bought 3,210 BTC and 22550 ETH on June 25. The accumulation continues. India's ruling party spokesman Pradeep Bhandari said it's time to think about a strategic BTC reserve. Shares of Chinese brokerage Guotai Junan rose nearly 200% after receiving a license to trade cryptocurrencies in Hong Kong. Chinese company Nano Labs bought 600 BTC for its balance sheet. The volume of a liquid BTC supply, the amount of BTC that is often not traded, continues to break records, now exceeds 14 million BTC, Glassnode data. Historically bullish in the long term. Arthur Hayes expects a new ETH in BTC. Drivers, more leverage from banks. Passage of Genius Act on stable coins. Improvement on the geopolitical front. Swedish company Treasury Capital has started buying BTC for its balance sheet. XRP futures trading volumes on the CME, mostly institutional traders, are breaking records very quickly. Canadian company Neptune Digital Assets buys BTC and SOL on balance sheet. Ripple, partnership with Wormhole. Web3 Aqua One Fund announced that it has acquired $100 million worth of World Liberty Financial, Wolfie, management tokens. Earlier, the co-founder of World Liberty Financial stated that several public companies are interested in buying Wolfie token on their balance sheets. Kraken is developing a financial services app focused on money transfers and payments. The app could be a competitor to PayPal's Venmo and Block's Cash App. PayPal CEO, we're creating real-world use cases for customers. Crypto venture volumes are growing rapidly. Upexi plans to tokenize stocks on Solana, buys SOL on balance sheet. Trader Quatio is the only one on Hyperliquid whose story is cooler than James Wynn himself. In just 3 days, he has experienced 6 liquidations and lost about $10 million. 2 hours ago, he contributed another $4.5 million to continue his long position in BTC and ETH. US GDP is falling, but why is that good for Bitcoin? The US economy contracted at a much faster pace at the start of the year than previously reported. New data takes into account much weaker consumer spending. GDP recorded an annualized decline of -0.5% from January through March. This is worse than the -0.2% forecast. Spending rose just 0.5% in the first quarter, up from 1.2% in the previous estimate, the weakest in more than 4 years. Looks like Trump's policies aren't doing so well. Tariff hikes have hit the economy and demand. The decline in GDP nevertheless signals a slowdown in the US economy. Against this backdrop, the probability of the Fed lowering rates in September is already 68%. And a rate cut is fuel for markets to rise. But we are waiting for new CPI data. If inflation accelerates again, hopes for a quick rate cut may disappear.